Oops. Hello. I didn't realize my mic was off. I'm TJ with Tampa Film Network, executive producer for Tampa Film Network. You know what? I'm just going to restart this. This is going to be a little bit weird if I cut in at 5 minutes when people have not even been listening. So let's restart. Just make sure we are online first. So if you're waiting, give me just a couple seconds. Okay, we're on. Okay. Hello, welcome back. My name is TJ, executive producer for Tampa Film Network, and what I'm doing today is doing the feedback for two updates for two trailers that one of the editors has been working on, 3.6 and 4.6 for The Butterfly. So I'm going to be going over that, as well as just giving a few reminders to folks who have been away for some while. So that's why you're seeing this stream pop up on my Facebook. Normally this is only on the Discord, but going to be on the Facebook as well today. If you have any questions, just message me. You know where. Discord first, please. And if you don't have Discord, get it. So we are going to be starting a Discord today. Of course, I've got the desktop app on my it'll ask more specific questions for acting, give us more useful information. So use that. By the way, that's here or here. But if you get on this landing page, you can hit that one, and that should work as well. Anyways, so Discord here is just a reminder to show you that once you join, basically all the real work takes place on Discord. It's not on Facebook groups or anything like that. That's more for the public side of things. On the back end, all the work is being done through Discord. So you are going to need to get that if you really expect to help with anything or get involved with any projects. That's the way it is. Don't ask if we can use another platform. That's the platform. Now, if you haven't joined, basically just sign up, start filling out the form. At the end of the form, it's going to give you a link to join the Discord. So we don't just have the clickable. You can't just click this here to get into the Discord. Do the form, and at the end of the form, it will give you the link. If you've already joined but you never got the Discord, go to your email, type in Discord. You should see that you were invited to Discord. If you can't find it, message me on Facebook or email Tampa Film Networks at gmail.com and ask for the Discord link. And that's Tampa Film Networks with an S at Gmail. We don't own the first one for some reason. So ask for the Discord and we'll give you the invite, or I'll just give it to you on Facebook. You can also message the page, Tampa Film Networks. But if you don't get a response anywhere, just try me, try messaging the page, try sending the email. Somebody will get it. Oh, we got some stuff in the inbox. Anyways, I'll check it later. Okay, so once you get your Discord up, for the editing team, of course, we have different channels for the different teams. So the editing team, if you scroll down on the left side on your phone, you got to hit the hamburger menu. Let's see here. Here we go. Here's the general channel for the editing team. So the last one that we left off was 3.5 and 4.5. And these were the notes that I gave going forward, upgrading from 3.5 to 3.6, and also updating where's the 4? Here we go. 4.5 to 4.6. These are the trailer versions that Patrick has been working on. So Patrick's been doing really good work. So I want to go ahead and start looking at the new stuff that he's posted. So what I'm going to do is, obviously, Resilio Sync is the app that we use to sync our folders. So he does work on his computer. He puts it in a folder. It syncs automatically to TFN's folder. So here's my route. I go into my external hard drive, Tampa Film Network, editing team. Not everyone has these folders, but if you have the camera team, you should have the camera team folder. Editors Exchange. So I'm going to go into Patrick's folder. I'm going to see what's his latest thing. So he's posted the latest trailer updates, 3.6 and 4.6. Okay. Now I also see he posted them a while ago. So thanks for your patience, and sorry it's taking so long for me to go back and check. But 3.6 was posted on May the 31st, and 4.6. Let me see what he said. This is Patrick here, still living. Oh, sorry about that, Patrick. Okay, so I'm doing it now. Actually, I've been doing it kind of throughout the month, and what happens is I'll get almost done, fall asleep, and forget that I had done anything, and then I have deja vu, like, didn't I do this before? And I just kept not finishing. But I made a commitment today. I'm definitely gonna not do anything until this is over. So let's go ahead and get started with 3.6. So basically, as many versions as there have been, it's been like 3.1, 3.2, 3. So many versions of trying to get trying to figure out what's the right trailer for this short film that we've been doing called The Butterfly. So I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. You can watch the previous ones in Discord if you want to see the reviews that I've done. I not only do the reviews as notes, but I also kind of post a video along with them, just kind of explaining my thoughts on things going forward. So as you know, as a producer, I don't exactly do everything that I comment on. I sometimes just comment and give recommendations, and more the decision making is more left up to the person doing the work. So that's what I do. But anyways, we're going to be doing 3.6 first. So let's watch 3.6. Uh-oh, looks like I'm out of space for something. I might have to delete some stuff. There's a 4th of July going on in the background, so if you hear any popping, that's just outside. By the way, happy 4th of July, folks. Okay, let's watch these. Actually, I already have them here. So what I did was I have the 3.5 and 3.6 just for reference, but I'm going to start with the 3.6. Let's see where we are.
I meddled in a science that I shouldn't have been in.
Why the fuck are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future. I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here. I meddled in a
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go through the notes for 3.6. 3.6 is going to be broken up into three parts for the notes. So we're going to talk about first the cuts, which is the clips being used in the trailer. We're going to talk about the titles. We're going to talk about the color. We're going to talk about the audio, and then we're going to do those 4 categories in the next version of the trailer, which is 4.6 as well. So we got 2 things to review here. Now, starting with the cut, in version 3.5, there is a clear improvement from what happened in 3.5. So in 3.5,
science that I shouldn't have.
So in 3.5, we opened up with the tunnel plus titles thing, which is supposed to be, get you interested, get you curious. What's this about? The first improvement is that it's less wordy on the tunnel shot. So here it says, what if you had the power to change past mistakes? And that was 3.5. Now when we go to 3.6, it says, is changing the past possible? Less wordy, a little bit more mysterious, lets you do a little more thinking for yourself. So that's a definite improvement. Now, the most important thing that I'll be commenting on here is the transition to the establishing shot. Okay, let's look at the 3.5 version. 3.5 goes from the tunnel opening to establishing a city. Okay, this is kind of a placeholder choice that Patrick made, and we've been trying different ones to see what's going to be the right one. But here was the problem with going to this establishing shot. First of all, you have kinetic energy happening with the opening portal shot here. You have movement in the shot that suddenly becomes disruptive by a static establishing shot. So what I advised was finding establishing shot that was kind of like skyline but aerial, where there's movement on the sides of the frame, because of what it does is continues that kinetic energy from the first shot that we open with here, and it doesn't come to a grinding halt with like a static, which is noticeable. And if it's noticeable, it's a little bit distracting. So in 3.6, what he did was less wordy on the portal shot, and then we transitioned from this moving to something moving here. So check this out. This establishing shot is kind of what I was suggesting. Something with the city. It's aerial. It's moving upwards. So the movement continues, and now it's less. The differences between the shots is less noticeable. So that's an immediate improvement. Now, what doesn't work with this shot, or what I think needs to improve with this shot, is this establishing shot is a little bit too specific. So I would think that a wider view of whatever this is would work better. I don't know that the source material is wider, so Patrick may be using, you may be using the actual shot, and this is just the way it is, but it looks like it was cropped in, and I'm looking at the resolution here, and that's going to be a noticeable difference when we go from this to our interior shots for the rest of the trailer. So going from that to this and there being a noticeable quality difference is a distraction. So what we've got to do is, or what I'm suggesting is, this establishing shot needs to be replaced with something of a higher resolution, or if it actually is a wider shot that you were working with and you cropped in, crop back out. And if you did that for any purpose like stabilization, crop back out first, see if you can solve the stabilization problem without cropping in. Or if you just cropped in just because you thought it would look better, just try cropping out so that this resolution difference becomes smaller. And we'll see if this can still transition well to the next shot, because right now there's just a noticeable quality difference, and anything noticeable like that is going to be a distraction. Other than that, the timing of this shot and the feel of it is right. It comes in at the right time. It has movement. The shot before it had movement, so it continues that. It also is still kind of fitting the color scheme. You got your yellow, you got some purple in there, and we were coming from a shot that had some blue and purple and some yellow in it. So it's still fitting in that, but what's standing out is the difference in quality. So I would either try a different shot or crop out of that one. Let's go to this shot here. Let me bring up the notes again so we can have that on screen at all times. Let me see what else I had to say about that. I think the rest of the trailer is actually going to be pretty good. I think that the next big thing I was going to say is there was just a noticeable gap of audio. So let's see what happens here.
Why the fuck are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future. I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
All right, so we go from the establishing to the interior of our hotel where most of the film takes place.
Why the fuck are you here?
I think that's a good clip. You kind of, the point of a teaser, this is really a teaser, not really a trailer. The point of a teaser is to get interest and curiosity without revealing as much as possible. So it's like I never watch trailers anymore. I only really watch short teasers that intentionally try to hide as much of the story as possible, because so many trailers tell you so much of the story and they reveal so much that, you know, any experienced moviegoer can kind of piece together a story or a movie by seeing just the trailer. Basically, you can pretty much tell what it's going to be because a lot of Hollywood stuff is formulaic. So we want to avoid that. And specifically, you know, we call these teasers because we try to hide as much as possible. But the one given is, I think everyone realizes, and this is kind of being promoted as a time travel movie. Like, I think that's in the actual description for the film. So I think that one mention of it is okay. So the what the fuck is fine, because that's kind of like speaking for the audience. So when she says, why the fuck are you here?
Why the fuck are you here?
That is good because it shows performance.
Are you here?
As well as speaking for the audience, like, what's this about, you know? And then the next thing is we go to a shot where he answers her, and this doesn't actually happen in the film. Like, he doesn't answer with this clip per se, but it's like a good answering shot, just in terms of here's a bit of what you can expect.
Travel 12 years into the future.
And that should be our only mention of time travel, because we don't want to beat a dead horse. It's a time travel movie. We don't need to mention it anymore. Let's let it be. And if it were at all possible, it would be best not to say it's a time travel movie, because you still want there to be some curiosity about what are all these references? What's this about? So let's say that it's okay to have one mention, and let's move on. And then we go to our next portal. The portal is kind of like the segues into each other clip. Normally you want to have a variety of clips
Here.
where, okay, these guys are obviously in the hotel set, right? And then you go to a segue, and then you come back to the either different characters or the same characters in a different place. But so much of this movie was shot on location in the hotel, whereas, you know, we basically are going to be using the hotels for most of this teaser, which is why we try a lot with the establishing shots to show a little bit of variety, even though we didn't really, even though we might, the focus of the movie may not be the establishing shot or any other things that we use. We want to have variety because things can get repetitive very quickly, even in a short teaser like this.
I traveled 12 years into the future.
Okay, so we go to, here's our second.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
Good choice. Okay, we didn't even answer back with Robin, with a Robin clip, because it was unnecessary. The reason I like this is because it talks about kind of what this character's going through without telling exactly what happened, and it's leaving it for you to watch the movie.
And now I'm here. I had to start from scratch.
And part of this movie is about sacrifice. So I think this was a good clip to use because it gives the dialogue, which tells you a part of what this movie is going to be about.
I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
And it kind of brings you like, well, and now I'm here. This is how I got here. So that's also another reason why that clip was a really good one to use for this purpose. Then we go to the last segue, which is what will you do to end it? These are kind of a little bit still placeholdery, it seems. They're just basically, it's about getting the timing right up to this point, because once the only thing that you have left is to focus on is the titles, then you go, okay, maybe we should not mention time travel at all, or there's some very specific words that we can use. You can kind of fine tune it, but this is fine. As long as these are not in the way, these are basically fine. And actually, I mean, I don't even personally have a problem with these being just ready to go, just ready for release. They don't present a problem, and they're well timed. So What will you do to end it? That doesn't tell you anything at all. You know what I mean? It just kind of is there to kind of move things along, and that's good. You don't want to tell, there's no need to go into specifics when you already set the table with a very good choice of clip with the dialogue already. Okay? Now here's where the second major note I'm going to have comes in, because now the choice to not have any more voiceover and to have consistent music here is an improvement on what we did in 3.5, because in 3.5, when we got to the middle part,
I meddled in a science that I shouldn't have been in, and now I'm here.
All right, so this is the previous version. One way to defy it all. All right, now the audio drops again, so there's no more voiceover. We do have the part where we have the mysterious thing that he opens. We intentionally hide what that object is because it's important to the film. Oops, did I miss? Did I go to the other one? Yep.
I meddled.
We go to our title clips for the actors. Then we transition to the exit title. Okay. Now we have the same thing in terms of the audio dropping, but the thing that changed is that the music is consistent all the way through. So he didn't have access to the actual audio from the film. He was kind of cutting the screener version that we had, but that's not the best way to do it. So I gave him access to the audio of just the music alone versus just the sound effects. And now we have consistent background. Now we have consistent background music all the way through. But when we get to 19, 20 seconds, the audio drops. And this becomes an issue, I believe, because it broke the pattern that we were it was like we were building up to something, and suddenly it just kind of the energy just kind of dissipated. The silence there is fine because it kind of increases the tension of, well, what's he looking at? What's she looking at? Which is cool. But then we go to the title shots for the actors. And I think that these are good clips because they're in the middle of kind of engaging moments in the performances in both of them. They kind of answer each other. So that's all good. It just feels jarring that you can't hear anything for the second half of the teaser, because when you get to the halfway point,
I'm here.
That's the last thing you hear, and then you transition to the silent clips. Now I think the silence going there is fine because that increases the importance of what they're looking at, but it just kind of feels like something should be here audio wise for the rest of the teaser. Because this is so different. This is just like starting off with an energetic motion clip in the very beginning and then cutting to a very static establishing shot, just like we did in 3.5.
I meddled in a science that
Energy, right? And then it stops all of a sudden. It just seems out of place, right? And then the rest of the stuff has motion because it's like handheld here. You go to a moving shot in the other one. So that's why the move to a moving establishing shot right after the portal was necessary, because it continued the energy, it transformed it, and it rolled into this, which still has some motion in it. Now you also have to kind of, in the same way but not specifically, apply that to audio. Like, am I being consistent, or are we being consistent for audio? Are we setting up something and then capitalizing on it, or are we setting up something and then not taking advantage of what we set up? It's a little tricky because I'm not really sure what to do in this area. I just know that it created a sudden, abrupt change, right? And I don't know the reason for it yet. And if you can't figure it out by the end of the teaser, then it probably is distracting. It had utility when they were looking at the case because it increases the mystery of the case, of whatever it is that he just opened. But beyond that, it's like, why are we looking at her talking and nothing's happening? Now, I have seen trailers where you show the actors talking and you don't hear the dialogue that goes along with the clip that they're using. It's just usually it's kind of set up in a way where the music is carrying you all the way through, and that kind of thing is happening all throughout the trailer. So it's not like a moment like we have here where half the trailer it has a voiceover that doesn't necessarily match the clips used, but it's being used to kind of carry you through the entire teaser. But then in ours, it cuts off abruptly. So that's why it feels like it's just a little bit unfinished on the audio. So that continues. That was there in 3.5. It remains in 3.6. I don't know the exact solution of it, but I just want to point out that that is noticeable. And if it's noticeable without utility, it may be, and I feel like this in this case is a little bit distracting. So in our case, I feel like so many other things were done right. Like these are the right clips to use. They're engaging. Like Robin German is having a moment there, and then so is Joseph. Joe is having a good moment there too as well. So that's a good answering shot. But audio-wise, something it feels like is just missing, and there's no clear answer just yet. I'm just pointing that out. But everything else was fixed for that point. All right, let's continue towards the end here. Now, initially, I had a feeling that the fade to black was a little bit slow, and that's because every other transition was fast. Like, well, actually, that's not even a fade. That's just a cut too. So if we were looking at the transitions for the entire teaser, 3.6. Okay, we go to cut 2. Then we go to cut 2. 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 It's basically cut 2 all the way until the very, very end. Okay? So my instinct visually was like, well, we should either have a cut 2 or a much faster fade. Give me 1 second. Let me turn this. Now, the thing that I feel on a second listen saves it is the fact that the music background at that point feels like it's smoothing over, right? So it feels like maybe then that is appropriate for the background that's coming with it. Because watch this. It gets quiet. Then it kind of swells. And it's smoothing out. So my recommendation for that is just because visually we're getting one cue versus we know audio-wise it's kind of fitting. I feel that maybe we compromise. I recommend maybe you compromise a little bit by fading faster. Not going from slow fade to just cut 2 like the rest of the thing, but just fade faster. Fade faster. I think that it should go to black first, so there should be a little more time in the black, and then fade in the end credit here, the title credit, at the exact same speed it's in now. So if I were visually saying this, I basically would just be saying, all right, look, oops. I keep doing that by accident. I would just be saying, okay, fade faster. All right, we're black at this point. At this point, we're all black, right? And at this point, you don't see the butterfly yet. So you go to black first for like a half second. You hear. Then you fade in the butterfly from black. Okay? So what you do then is you put the focus on the butterfly credit. You don't let it slip by fading at the same time as you're fading in the butterfly. Right now, you're not taking advantage of any black because you're going straight to black plus butterfly. What I'm saying is go from clip to black first, all right? Then go to butterfly. And I think that will be a good compromise, and it will probably feel and look a little bit better. Overall, it actually works. There's really nothing about this functionally that doesn't work. I just think it could be a little better. Okay, so that's the cut notes. Let me make sure I finished all the cut notes. Yeah, the fade transition was the last thing that I was going to. Yeah, okay, so let's go to titles now. Let's do titles. So we're still on 3.6, looking specifically at the titles. Okay, we're opening with is changing the past possible. Let me just consult my notes real quick. All right, so without going into specifics exactly on what the titles say, because I feel like it's still too early, even though we're on like version 3.6 of this teaser, of this particular, the 3 series is we're on 3.6, right? It still doesn't matter that much yet. It's not getting in the way. Ideally, if we could not mention time travel, that'd be the best. Right now, the past is okay. Past is not saying time travel. Changing the past is kind of suggesting that. But it's not saying this is definitely a time travel movie. Okay? Even though I think the description of the film is basically mentioning time travel. Okay, but without going into detail about what this says, I think visually these words probably should be a bit smaller. Without going into specifics about what's exactly the size font, I think I've mentioned this before. I just think it needs to be a little bit smaller because I'm visualizing this on a big screen first, and on a big screen you would not really need to fill the screen horizontally this much with font, this much. So I would go smaller, probably. Just if you like the bigger font, thinking about mobile screens first, mobile screens, that makes a lot of sense, but I would try probably around this area here. So I would try smaller font, less wordy. So I think that's an improvement. Last time we had more words in the beginning. Check this out. This was the very first portal segue in 3.5. 3.5 had, what if you had the power to change the past, or to change past mistakes? Okay, we went from that to, is changing the past possible? Is changing the past possible? Hands down better. So an improvement on just the length and wordiness. That's much more simple. It's much more clean. I like that better. I always say, hey, if you can go even smaller and simpler and cleaner, go as far as you can go. So I'm not really sure how you go about that here. Is changing the past possible? You just cut out another word, basically. Try to keep the same meaning, but go shorter and simpler. But that's pretty good. I like that. That works. Let's go to the second segue. Are the sacrifices worth it? Now, this here, I think, is another good choice because it actually works in tandem with the audio that we're hearing. Because part of this movie is about sacrifice. What was it that Joe's character said earlier?
Fuck, are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future.
Not that one. Here it is. So we're setting the table by saying, are the sacrifices worth it?
I lost everything.
And he goes, I lost everything.
I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
Again, love the choice of voiceover there, because it just covers what you need to say and what you need to mean in this moment, and it moves you along. Because I lost everything, and then it goes to now I'm here, which means now your attention should be here. All right, I just said that, but now your attention needs to move on, and it's just a very good choice audio wise for voiceover to help tell that part of the story. Now, so the thing that you got to pay attention to when it comes to the titles with this teaser, and basically any teaser, is you want them to work in tandem with the voiceovers that you use as much as possible, right? And your goal is to invoke curiosity and interest without telling as much as while hiding as much as possible, right? Well, we've already told as much as this is a story about kind of time travel. I traveled 12 years into the future, came directly before this. But let's say that didn't happen. Let's say we're just focusing just on this section, right? Are the sacrifices worth it? Good choice because it matches with.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
Okay. Now, to be even better, you don't need both, right? You don't need the word saying that, this what we're talking about comes with sacrifice if the voiceover is already giving you that impression. So, the only way to improve that from a title standpoint, where, okay, we already know he's going to be talking about what he lost, then we want this to be a little bit more cryptic. So this would basically be more cryptic if the word sacrifices was not in there. Sacrifices is specifically what we're talking about. So if you want to be a little less direct, you just take sacrifices out. And you say something like, something other than sacrifices. Is that worth it? Or what would you give up? Something else. Word count wise, this is pretty simple. Are the sacrifices worth it? Is a very short, concise sentence, right? But if you want to, the only way to make titles and voiceovers that are trying to do the same thing work better together is make it so that you have part A and then you have part B. Right now, both of these accomplish A. So you really don't need both. That makes one of these redundant. So it's workable, because if you keep both, they work. They both do the thing where if somebody wasn't really reading and they were listening, they got it. Or if they were reading but they weren't really listening, they got it. So it's workable. But if you really want maximum synchronicity between these two parts of the trailer, then I would make it so that like one complements the other. And it's a little bit tricky here because once you get it down, the way Patrick has the word count and the concision to, it's pretty concise. It gets a little bit hard to if he did take out sacrifices, it might seem like some kind of run-on sentence. So it gets a little tricky, but you can finesse it. It'll just take some time and use of a thesaurus or something, but you can kind of make it so that the words don't necessarily say exactly, and then the audio can kind of say what it is exactly, but you can make the words complement the voiceover a little bit more. But overall, this works. So this is a pass right here. This is a good.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
And if I had to pick, I would pick the audio because the choice of the dialogue there just accomplishes it all beautifully, and it transitions you and it pushes the audience to the next part of what we're talking about. What will you do to end it? Okay. The talk about ending it is placeholder. You can tell because when you look at the dialogue that comes with it, well, there's no dialogue. Well, actually, this actually is workable because it points you in the direction of the case, and even though there's no description of the case or what he's doing here, it's kind of like telling you this is what the key to the whole movie is about. What will you do to end it? So the only thing I would say is that feels a little placeholdery, but what will you do to end it? I would try to make it even shorter somehow. And instead of end it, I would try to make that a little bit more cryptic, like just open the door to what the possibilities of what this sentence or what the suggestion might be. So I would take out end it, but still make it make sense somehow. It's kind of hard to explain. It's kind of like you kind of have to sit there and try to work out different statements of what you're going to say here. But what this is doing is basically saying, all right, well, here's the key to what of it all. And whenever you're talking about the key to it all, without giving it away, you have to be the most cryptic that you've been throughout the entire teaser. So if there's anything that was unclear for the rest of the teaser, this should be the most unclear thing, right? Yet it should not be something that makes no sense at all, right? So it has to be a statement that just presents many possibilities. Like it could be this, it could be that. So you don't want to be specific, you don't want to give away the film, but you want to present options, right? So you got to say some kind of statement that just kind of leaves the door open, but tells you that this is the key to everything, right? Like, do you have the answer? Will this fix it all? Something like specific, but not specifically saying this is what this movie is about. So it's kind of hard to explain other than that. All right, and let's go to our final title, which I think is the actors' titles, okay? So as far as the actors' titles, okay. The composition of this shot, this clip with the actor's title here, is overall the correct direction, I feel. I just think that the text could be smaller. Okay. The font is actually not bad. I think this font will look better smaller. Right now it looks we were talking about what's the right font, or kind of a point of discussion on the last review was what's the right font to use, and I was trying to say that it should be like a very trailery or teasery font, and like I didn't know exactly what the actual font is that's used in a lot of teasers. So I what's that font that I said the one that I just did like a Google search or whatever, and what's the most used fonts for teasers or whatever, and this thing came up. But I don't think it's actually, basically what you want is a font that doesn't call attention to itself as a special font, you know, and yet something that's not New Times New Roman, you know what I'm saying? You don't want something that looks obviously consumer, and yet you don't want something that's so stylized in this right here, because it's just not needed. It's not necessary. And you haven't set it up, like you haven't been doing stylized throughout the entire teaser, so here it would definitely be insane to just start stylizing the font. So you want something that is plain yet not consumer level, yet looks good, right? The first step before you start, going to thefont.com or any of these other places where you try to get fonts, is you just see if this will work if it's just smaller. So you may not even have to get a new font or try anything else. Just make this smaller so that it just basically makes it a little less recognizable as a font style choice, because this is a tiny bit stylized. When you start to look at the ends of the font, of the letters, of the strokes of the R, of the B, of the Y, when you look at the ends, you start to see the font's characteristics and styles. So because we want to focus on that less, because it literally, you don't want that to take up any of the viewers' attention. You basically only want them to see this font enough to know who they're looking at here. That's Robin German. So you want this to be smaller. It's my instinct. First, see if it works if it's smaller. If it still looks too stylized when it's small, then you try to find another plain font. The color is right. The color is fitting the color palette correctly. So the color scheme is yellow for text. The placement, overall composition placement of the text is correct. You have actor center right, and then you have the text actor title bottom left of the entire frame. This is the right placement to me. Especially it makes it right for reading. You read from left to right, so you start on the left side and you go down to the bottom, because the first thing you want to see is the face, and then you go, okay, well, here's the name that goes with the face. Okay, it's just this is a little big for me. I think it could work better if it's smaller. And then when we go to Joseph's clip, okay, now you've got to do something here, because it's noticeable that his needs to be a little smaller, but I would even say his is positioned compositionally a little better than even hers is, because it's just a little bit closer to his face. I think it just needs to be a little more smaller and pulled out a little bit more, just a little more away from his face. And then it has the perfect, just about the perfect composition. Compositionally wise, Patrick's doing basically just about excellent work there. So all we need to do now is just optimize the font. And I think the font here is noticeably bigger for her than it is him. His name has more letters in it, so it's like in the editor it may have the actual same font size, right? But because of the length, it just comes out that his is smaller because it's longer. I think. I've been working with a video game editor for like the last month, so it's kind of like my editing is a little bit off right now. But yeah, so overall, compositionally, this is good. Just I think the font needs to be smaller, and this could be raised up a little bit. And I think that it being on the edge is good, is better than what his is, right? His needs to be a little closer to the edge and smaller. Hers needs to be smaller, a little higher. His is higher. Hers can be a little bit higher. And you kind of want these to mirror each other a little bit. They're already in the right answering position, so she's facing screen left, he's facing screen right. So our 180 is it's being observed. And then we go to the title of the entire film, which is still in the color scheme of yellow as far as the color text, which is good. I dig it. So overall, those are the text notes. I'm going to copy and paste those into Discord. Let's go to, what's our next section? We have 2 more categories, which are going to be pretty short. We have color. All right, only thing I have to say about the color is good stuff. Overall,
I meddled in a science that I shouldn't have been in.
the color palette for the teaser is pretty consistent. So
Why the fuck?
all throughout, the text is yellow. It's basically yellow all throughout, which is good. You want uniformity in the color scheme because it becomes pretty noticeable whenever the color stops being consistent. Like when you have 2 different yellows in the same room, that gets noticed. The green light was such a cool idea. Shout out to Albert, the DP. And I think that's Austin's light. It just works. The color just works. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. Look at it. Love the green fill. Oh, where was I? Oh yeah. So the color. The only thing I have to say about the color is I like that where we've gotten. Before it wasn't consistent. Right now it's totally consistent. So 3.6 is consistent all the way through, even the portal shots. Portal spilling over into the establishing, which needs to be improved. The color is consistent. You have yellow down the middle. Yellow, orange. And then we go to yellow, orange into the room. You could even get a tiny bit closer, but I don't think that's even totally necessary. Overall, consistent. The quality is consistent. The color's consistent. It's good. Don't really need to spend any more time on that. Let's go to the last thing. I think it's going to be audio. Audio, I do have a few things to say. So overall, the music choice is better because it is consistent all the way through. Before, we kind of had this weird sci-fi rock theme going on, or whatever it was, and then at the very end, it switched to the audio from the screener. Instead, he didn't have access to the separate audio channels, so I gave him access, and now we have it more consistent. So immediate improvement overall over the background music. Just choose one thing that sounds clean and fade it in and fade it out. That's way better than what we had before.
In a science that I shouldn't have been in.
This is what we had before.
Why the fuck are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future.
And you notice it kind of faded in with the screener music, and it was like, it's a little messy.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
What happened to this shot? Do we still have this shot?
I meddled in a science that I shouldn't.
That's a good shot to have because it kind of goes to when he talks about I lost everything and it shows a picture of the little girl. It kind of helps you get, okay, he's talking about his family. He's talking about his daughter or whoever the girl is. Because it's not going to be clear to him who the girl is yet. And it's her. Let's see here. Yeah, and so in 3.6, oh my god, I keep hitting that button on accident. Let's go back to 3.6, play.
I meddled in a science that I shouldn't have been in.
Let me look at the part where he says, I lost everything.
Why?
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
That's what changed. So I didn't notice that before. So in 3.5, at that exact same moment, we had a picture of his daughter.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch.
So I guess the only worry would have been like we're losing part of this performance here, which is a good performance. I love it. But you still have enough to where you get both. Like you can get the daughter.
I had to start from scratch. And now I lost everything. I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
So I think that actually is better in 3.5 where you have the daughter plus the performance and then cut to the part where it says, and now I'm here. You have all three versus in 3.6.
I had to start from
the color's more vibrant, but you only get the performance plus the transition to, and now I'm here. When you could have the daughter.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
So you could have all three. So you have 2 instead of 3 in 3.6, but you have all 3 in 3.5. So I think that is should be changed back. So I feel like add back the picture of him looking at the picture of his daughter, the close-up of Robin German younger, and that will give this part of the clip more effectiveness. This part of the teaser more effectiveness because it kind of helps you see what he's referring to when he's talking about I lost everything. Even though technically speaking, you don't need to see exactly what he's talking about. I just think it gives it more emotional punch. Like you can kind of relate to it a little bit better. You know, looking at old pictures of people who are important to you. It just kind of helps you get it faster. And I think it's a little bit more used that way in Hollywood, which would help people get it a little bit faster. So I think that take a page out of 3.5's book and put the daughter's close-up back in at that exact moment, and you're still going to get this great performance where he's talking about, I lost everything. I had to start from scratch, and now I'm here. You still have that.
From scratch. And now I'm here.
Because it worked well in 5.
I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
You have all 3. So go back to having all 3. And I think that will fix that. And I'm going to add that to the notes real quick. Not sure how I missed that on the first watch. Let me see here, because that's kind of important. So it's basically before the note about the gap and silence. Maybe it was just left out on accident, or maybe he took it out intentionally. I don't know why I take it out intentionally, other than you get to see more of Joe's performance at that point, which is a good performance. But I just think you can have all 3. You can have all 3, so have all 3. Okay, and I think that's all I have to say for, oh wait, I have more. So the music choice overall, better, good, okay. So that thing about at 18 to 19 seconds, the noise floor cuts abruptly. Let me see if that's still there. Because what happens is sometimes you have a difference in noise floor levels. So the silence of one clip is louder than the silence of another clip. In other words, only one of them is more silent. So you want it to be consistent. Let me see if that is solved.
In a science that I shouldn't have been in.
Why the fuck are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future. I lost everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
Well, it's hard for me to tell, so I do have static in these headphones, though. So it's hard for me to comment on that, but just kind of try to pay attention because on 3.5,
Metal in a science. Everything. I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
oh yeah, so it was much louder in 3.5, but I think it's still there.
Metal in a science that
See
now I'm
here.
here.
It might just be, it does seem like it's improved a little, so maybe he pushed it as far as he could. So Patrick, if you did push it as far as you could, I get it. That's fine if that's as far as it goes, because I think it's much less noticeable now, but I think it's still there, like the silence. So what you do is kind of similar in practice or to what happens when, let's say you have two different clips that you're using, and one of them has HD quality and the other has standard definition quality. You cannot increase the quality of something that was standard definition to begin with to an HD quality. So, but what you can do to make a match is make that high definition quality, you can degrade that to be on the same level as standard. So when it comes to audio, you cannot go back and create silence, but you can kind of either silence over it and try to fade it that way, or you can basically use the silence from the one that's louder over the part of the one that is quieter. And so you make it match. Even though it may not be ideal, you make it match. And the idea here is you just want to avoid any distractions. So we already looked at avoiding visual distractions by not having consistent color.
I lost everything.
Not having the right energy flowing from one shot that has motion to another shot that does not have motion. But you got to look at that on the audio level as well. You know, going from one clip where you hear silence and then the next clip where you hear silence, but it's loud silence. It's noisy silence. So you got to have all that on the same level so that, okay, if this is the way that it is, it needs to be that way all throughout so that it's not noticeable when there's differences. So same thing with audio. So don't forget about that. Let me see here. So I do hear that at this point.
I had to start from scratch. And now I'm here.
If you want to zero in on it, basically when you go to the segues of the portals, that's when it's most noticeable. Listen to the silence when they're not talking, and then right when it goes to the portals, when it cuts to, you don't want to hear the cut to. You just want to see the cut to. So do whatever you got to do to make that cut to less noticeable audio-wise. Let me check the notes again. Oh yeah, so and the last thing about, and this is about the gap from 19 on, because it just feels weird that the entire teaser is now going silent or going only to the soundtrack of the background music. I would try adding the audio of the briefcase opening and her approaching, because, and unfortunately, if you're going to go silent, this is the time to do it, because it just puts more emphasis on the thing that he's opening and increases the mystery. So, but that's the only place where I literally have an idea for how to make the second half of this teaser less abruptly quiet, is putting it right here. Whereas this is the part that's most forgiving because there's so much action and so much intention and meaning happening at this point. But literally, that's the first thing I would have tried, is putting in the audio of the briefcase opening and her approaching a little bit. Because if you're going to go silent here, I don't know what else to do other than have the audio of what she's saying come in. And that may just be unnecessary. So maybe try and see if this audio works, or if it's just too much, like it's unnecessary. You already had it set up with the other half. Leave it silent, because I think it works. Overall, 3.6 works with a few tweaks. The tweaks that I talked about previously. But to make the second half a little bit better, I would try putting in the audio of the briefcase with her walking over. And then you may look at some other sound effects that are used in the film to put over this while she's talking, to make it less noticeable that she's not talking during such a intense. She's giving an intense performance here. She's saying something with intention, right? And he is too. Even just him listening and then responding back, it just seems jarring. It seems a little bit weird. So if we can put something to kind of mask the quietness of what we're doing here, I think it would help a lot. Otherwise, this is pretty solid. You know, other than the one thing, if I can only change one thing, it would be the establishing shot. If I can make that establishing shot work better, it has the right energy and timing. It just is the resolution is noticeably lower. And if you had to keep this shot, the only way to really get around that is to cut this shorter so that you have less time to notice it. Because what you really want is to be zoomed out a little further and to see more cities and to have this be less specific. This is so specific that anybody who's watching this, anyone who was sitting in like in a movie theater who saw this shot would be like, well, what's so special about what's happening here on this street? Or what's so special about what's happening in these windows? And that's the problem, because they're going to look and see that the quality is significantly lower with these shots. You can look at the lines. They're significantly lower.
Why the fuck
And you have this, which looks beautiful. Beautiful.
are you here?
I traveled 12 years into the future.
Okay. So I think that wraps it up for 3.6. The second one, I think it's going to be a little bit shorter. Let me see. The silence breaks the flow. Yeah, so really the silence just breaks the flow of what you've been setting up. So see if you can get around that. That's a little tricky. Now, the quality of the teasers have gotten better, so it's like the things that you can improve get trickier and trickier, because there's so much more specific things that you can tweak to make it even better. Which is a good problem to have. It's not as simple as, hey, your quality on this clip needs to be better, or the color is off. Those are simple, easy things. These are now more complex. So this is a good point to be. So commend you on that, Patrick. Let's move on to 4.6. See where we're at.
I was 15 when you went missing.
I never meant to leave. I would have never have left if I had a choice.
No, cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that you were dead.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's get into it. All right. So first of all, the opening in 4.6, my favorite of all the teaser versions so far. It just does what at the heart of any teaser is supposed to do, in that hang on, let me see if I can turn this light on. Let me see my face a little better. It just does what any teaser is supposed to do. It's get you interested without really telling you much of anything. There's no way to do that better than showing you a blank screen, right? But now if you show blank screens, you have to have really good and engaging audio. And that's what I'm focused on right now, is the audio choice of dialogue. The choice of voiceover for this section is really good. It was really good in 4.5. But here, Let's hear it
I
again.
was 15 when you went missing.
I was 15 when you went missing is the perfect thing to say. It tells you nothing other than somebody was missing. I don't know who. It's probably somebody close to the person speaking. We don't know it's a time travel movie yet. It's good. By the way, if anybody's commenting on this video right now, I've not been looking at the comments, so I'm not ignoring anyone. I don't even have it open. So sorry if I missed anything or any questions. I'll probably do comments afterwards, but for now, just enjoy.
I never meant to leave. I would have never have left if I had a choice.
No, cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that you were dead.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
Okay, so I have a lot of things I want to say, but first, let me just refamiliarize myself with the previous version because I want to see exactly what the difference was between 4.5, and then I'll go back and comment on 4.6, which is the current version, and then moving forward will be 4.7. All right, let me see 4.5.
I was 15 when you went missing.
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
I just began to accept that you left me. There was a wide belief that you were dead.
Well, I can explain.
Now you hold my curiosity.
I went 12 years into the future, which is where you had the accident.
Yeah, so it was a lot more choppy and less smooth, so it's audio-wise and visually. Okay, so let's get back to 4.6. Let me see if that was music that I heard being faded into 4.5 in the very, very, very beginning.
I was 15 when you went missing.
It was, because when I go to 4.5, you hear that swelling? That swelling's from he was cutting from the screener at the time, so he didn't have access to the individual audio channels, so he had to use that.
I was 15.
So that's cleaner. Very nice.
I was 15 when you went missing.
Volume is lower. So that's cleaner. I like that. Very good.
I never meant to leave.
Okay, so we starting with the establishing shot. So previously, I think we had
When you went missing.
some poor excuse for establishing shot here. Let's see. So we come out of our great opening. This is a really great opening. I love it. A lot of professional teasers start off that way too. Like I've seen many that use the darkness and focus more on the audio to kind of create interest. But when they come out, you got to be on point. This here, I would never see this in any movie theater ever. Maybe in the 80s or 90s, but not today. So this here looks like almost like a picture that we're just zooming in on. But I can tell it's a video because I can see the traffic at the bottom. But the problem is the resolution's way too low. Like, look at this. You can kind of see it's like so low that you can see like the cloud jagged edge here. And also, let me see, was there any motion that led into this? Whereas in 3.5, the motion leading in from the tunnel thing suggests that you need to have motion on your establishing shot. Here you can get away with a more static shot because you didn't lead in with motion, so you don't really have to follow up with motion. Here you lead in with just blackness, so you don't really have to follow up with motion. You can go with motion, but you don't have to, like in the other one. So here's 4.6. So we lead in with black and white, and then we go in and out with stuff that does not have motion. And now let's go to our establishing shot for 4.6. Now we go to an aerial city shot that has motion. Okay. So I have no problem with it being an aerial shot, even though we led in with no motion. That's not a problem at all. The problem is the resolution for this. Also, the color might be a bit off. You got some really heavy blues, some really bright highlight blues that don't take place anywhere else in the entire teaser, I don't think. Let me see how consistent the color is. I think the color is more consistent in this one than 4.5. Yeah, because in 4.5 you kind of had like different tones in the exact same room. Here it's a lot more consistent. See, the yellows, the greens, the shadows, the midtones are all on the same color space. So overall the color is way better in 4.6 than 4.5. Here's 4.5. I'm skipping to talk about color real quick, but just because it's kind of significant. Yeah, it was different. There was a noticeable difference in some of the colors. Even though I think he took it directly from the screener. Okay, now let's go to go back to 4.6, the current version. Okay, so my notes on the establishing shot. Let me see here. I wish I could just make it sit on top always. So let's see. Go to 4.6. So obviously I made it clear in the last review that I love the opening to 4.5. I still love the opening 4.6 because it only got better because the audio got cleaner. I said there was an interesting use of. Oh, this was these are my notes from 4.5. So I might have got that mixed up. So in 4.5, I said there was an interesting use of zoom on the establishing shot to make it work. Try that technique on a better quality establishing shot. So what happened was he didn't stick with the zoom. He just tried a different shot. So I would say I can live with zoom or the aerial circling motion. The only issue with both of those shots is the resolution is obviously not good compared to what you're going to transition to next. So if we had a better aerial shot, that'd be even better. Actually, I would say this shot's better than the 4.5 because it's not so specific on a small area. Let's see. This was kind of wide, but here's the thing. It ends up being specific because it zooms in. In 4.6, it stays zoomed out and it just kind of circles. So it's not really making any declaration about exactly where in the city this is taking place. It's just kind of giving you the idea that we're in a city somewhere at night, which is good. But the main problem with this shot is just the resolution is just not high enough. You need better resolution. But overall, the energy and timing, kind of like 3.6 had a better establishing shot. It's just the resolution wasn't good. The energy and timing was right. I think the energy and timing on this one is also right. And the thing that would have helped 3.6 is what's being used on 4.6, which is just cutting the shot down shorter so that the flaws stand out less. Because this establishing shot in 4.6 is less, or it's shorter than the establishing shot, way shorter than the establishing shot of 3.6. Look at 3.6. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like almost 5 seconds, the establishing shot. But when you go to 4.6, we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh well, it might be the same. This might be the same amount of time. 1. I guess it's about the same. I don't know why it seems shorter. But resolution's got to improve so that it fits better with the shots that are gonna follow up. Okay, now going to the next shots that are the interior. Let me make sure I covered my notes for this. Or I might have to write these out. Okay, so moving on to the next shots. So I would just say for the establishing shot, just find a more higher resolution aerial. Other than that, this aerial would have been great. Like I think it basically fits the color scheme or fits the color palette. Maybe not so much the second half because of all the blues. But the yellows and the greens down here are gonna lead in to the other one. And you know what? If this were higher resolution, I might not even mind, because as long as half or most of this shot fits, like they don't all have to be the exact same percentage of the color palette. Like if let's say the follow-up is 80% of the color palette, you can get away with 50% of the color palette here, just because they don't all need to be 80, 80, 80, 80, 80, you know? Consistency is great, but it can be a little bit boring. Okay, so leading into these shots, let's hear the audio.
I would have never have left if I had a choice.
No, cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
So at first I didn't love the clips, but I kind of like it.
Cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
It's just kind of in the moment, just cutting into what they're talking
cut
about.
Delete. I would have never have left if I had a choice.
So we're telling story over the establishing shot. Let me see if that happened in 3.6. Did we tell in this story?
Science that I shouldn't have been in.
Oh, we're telling some story. We have nothing here.
Why the
Yeah, we cut. So we had nothing on the establishing shot for the other one.
I was 15.
This one, so that gives the God, those fireworks. So that gives the establishing shot in 4.6 utility. So I don't mind it being long if there's voiceover happening, because it's giving you a way to get the voiceover in, because you may not have had the right clips to go with the voiceover.
I never meant to leave. I would have never have left if I had a choice.
No, cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
I like those two clips now. The way that, because we haven't seen those before, and the way that they're being used here, I kind of like them.
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that you were dead.
All right, so when we get here, though, I feel that this close-up on the pills, it feels like it's cropped. Like, I don't know for sure if it wasn't, but it feels like it was cropped. I don't think it needs to be cropped. Like, you don't need to fill the entire screen with the pills. There's already a close-up.
That you were dead.
I'm pretty sure that clip originally was a close-up anyway, so this is too much. So if you're cropped in, crop out on this.
Dead.
Not saying the pills is a bad choice. It's not.
When I was in the
This here feels cropped.
future,
And also the speed is choppy. Like, I can tell the speed is slower.
there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me.
And I'm never saying never change the speed of any clip, but it looks a little choppy, and it doesn't really need to, and it stands out. Standing out without really a clear purpose, so it's becoming a distraction.
Future, there was
That you were dead.
So there's no reason to be that up on the pills. Like, it's not like we can see words written on the pills, so we can zoom out. If that's a zoom out shot, which I'm almost certain that it is.
when I was in.
If I'm wrong, I'm sorry about that, but it seems like that would have been zoomed out.
When I was in the future,
And as well as that's too zoomed in.
there was an accident, which is why I need.
Also too slow. I would just go regular speed. Try regular speed. If it seemed like not, if that was done for a purpose, try a little less slow speed, because it just seems like it's starting to stand out, and I'm not seeing the clear purpose other than, hey, this is important. Well, there's already a close-up. It's a close-up shot telling you that's important. So that on top of that is a little bit much. So
You to believe me.
also trademark.
You to believe me.
Just kidding. I don't think that's a real trademark.
We're not gonna get another chance. I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance. Future. There was an accident.
I will say that I think I prefer the audio or the voiceover saying when I was in the future over I traveled 12 years into the future. Because when I was in the future is less specific than I traveled 12 years into the future, because you don't know exactly if that's a metaphor yet. When you say when I was in the future, like, what do you mean when you were in the future? When you're in the future of what? When you're dreaming? When you're in the future of college? When you're in the future of what? Like, you don't know exactly. When you say I traveled 12 years in the future, it's so specific and in your face that it's traveled time. It's just less specific. Like I prefer this because it just gives you a little bit more room to believe maybe he's not talking about time travel, or maybe he's being maybe it's hyperbole, or maybe it's something else, and it just gives you a little more to figure out on your own.
When I was in the future, there was an accident.
But when you add the future plus this little symbol here, it kind of makes you think, oh, maybe it's time travel. But it doesn't say exactly it's definitely time travel. That's what I like about it. It's like maybe it's time travel or probably it's time travel. It doesn't take away the mystery from you, and you just go, it's definitely time travel.
Which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
So,
Another chance. We're not gonna get another chance.
so both of those have utility. I was like wondering,
Another chance.
do we really need her answering shot? This
We're
right
not gonna
here?
get another chance.
I was wondering, like, did we really need to go from the Notebook to her referencing the Notebook? But it kind of, you can kind of see it, so we can kind of see what she's looking at. It's a Notebook. Let me see. When you look at the previous shots of her, the only thing I don't like is we kind of had a close-up, a T3 close-up. T3 is like collarbone and up. So it's kind of like we had the same thing already. But we have enough shots in between. And let's see if this one's going to be a T2. T2 is like mid-neck close-up. So it goes from T3 to T2 close-up. So it's a repetitive in that they're both close-ups, just different degrees of close-up. But one has a reference to the Notebook, and the other had, what was the other one? One had a reference to the Notebook, the other one just had a reference to him. So that's an answering shot for what he was saying. He was drinking and talking, and she's answering him back. So there's enough variety between those two shots. Visually, if just on the face, it just felt like, oh, almost basically the same shot. But it's not exactly the same shot. There's just more happening in the T3 versus the T2, where she's just referencing the Notebook. Okay. Other than that, not a bad choice. Okay, and then we go back to her. Now here, I think we drop the audio.
I'm gonna get another chance.
So that's the last part of the teaser before we get to the title for the movie. Let me just see if it's the exact same, basically, as in 4.5 at that point. The third part.
I went 12 years into the future.
Oh, we used the the actual phrase "I went 12 years in the future" in the previous one versus this one, less specific.
Which is where you had the accident.
All right, so definite problems in the previous one because the whole music background changed. It was like not a smooth transition at all. It was very abrupt. In ours, it's consistent all the way through.
Believe me, we're not gonna get another chance.
So better choice on the music underneath all of it. Still a little weird that the audio drops out, but you know what? I'd rather the audio drop out on a third versus a half. Like in 3.6, it's almost a half. And 4.6 is like a third, which is less than a half. So it's less, if it's an issue, it's less of an issue if it's a smaller issue.
There was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
Like I wouldn't if it came down to all right, we if it's public or it's not over this one part wouldn't be enough to say hold it or reversion it first. So it's not really that big a deal. Simply because it's smaller. Now if it's half, it's a different thing. But we got so much before that it's not really a big deal that we're going in that direction now. And again, the only issue with dropping out the audio like that for the actor's title credits is just the idea that your energy is going in a certain direction and it suddenly abruptly stops. It feels jarring. I've watched it a few times now, so it's like I'm used to it, but it's like I know that first or second watch, it's kind of a little bit jarring to have the audio drop out and for there not to be a very clear reason for it, which makes it a distraction. So, but in this case, it's such a smaller portion of the teaser that it's not really a deal. It's not really it's not a deal breaker at all, really. So that's not the issue. The issue is more going to be on those clips, the font and the composition, which we're about to get into. And I like this. I like the blue. And the fading, the blue is just more busy than the black on the other one. But I like the idea of having two different ones. Like one is the black and yellow and the other is the blue and the yellow. So I like the idea of that two will give you two different endings. So good. All right, let's go to color. And I think that, oh no, not color. We got to go to titles. So let's go to titles for 4.6. And the beginning of 4.6 is, I love it. So it's like the titles are the actual titles in the film. Like this is what we open with. And it's The Natural Wonders, Austin's personal company, and then TFN. Okay. Then Austin gets his director credit there. Okay. So that's fine. Those are great. That's just using what's in the film. So in this one, you notice there's no segues. Like we don't go to the portal shot with the audio or with the text on top. The only other text we get to is the actor's credits. So what I'm going to do is just focus on the actor's credits real quick. Okay. Composition first. Composition is more important than the other thing. So composition is correct. She's screen left. The text is bottom right hand, screen right. The only thing is the text too big. It also looks a little bit long on the vertical side. Like it's the way that it is right now is kind of pointing out it's kind of a plain text, but it's stretched so that you can kind of see that it's a certain plain text. Almost consumer plain text. So it needs to be smaller. It might be okay if you just shorten it by a third. Like if you just vertically go down by a third, it might just be fine the way that it is. Composition wise, it's in the right place. This is where I would put it. I might raise it a little bit, but I would push it out to the edge just a little bit more. Composition wise, this is not bad at all. This is actually technically sound. So the really most important thing is just to see if this is the right font to use. It's kind of plain, it's just long, and it's large, which is giving it style, which is making it draw attention to itself for a reason that I don't know, which is making it more distracting. So I would just shorten this vertically, and if it still looks stylized, then I might try a different plain font. Otherwise, I think this might be fine if you just shorten it and potentially just raise it. So if you shorten it and go a little bit smaller, you may have to raise it a little bit into this 0 space right here. And it's just, you're probably going to move it out more to the right, because it's going to be kind of, when you get closer to the face, it's kind of more, it becomes a little bit of a different thing. Like, it becomes, the rules change in this area for text versus this area. In this area, you can do more things and get away with them, but when you're right next to the actor's face, the rules of engagement for text change. So it's like, whatever mistakes you're making, if it's right next to the actor's face, it becomes amplified. So you just got to keep an eye on that. But I would start with just shortening it vertically and seeing if it's okay. And you're probably going to need to scoot that up a little bit, because if something's very small, just like the rules have changed out here, the rules will be different if you change the font size down in the bottom right hand composition. Because if it's too small down here, it becomes distracting. Just like if it's too big down here, it's distracting. So when you make it smaller, you're basically going to shift it a little more towards the middle of the frame, and just seeing if it just sits well, kind of like in this area, I would say. Depending on how much smaller you make it, is going to depend on how much more you move it up. So, and if it sounds like I'm just kind of pulling this out of my butt as far as like how much you move it up versus the amount that you make it smaller, I'm not. It really does make a difference where the size in this area of the frame versus the middle of the frame, okay, and versus if you're next to the actor's face and if you're not. It all is about drawing attention and being visually fitting in with everything that you're doing. That's all composition. So compositionally, it's fine with this size, the area that it's in, but when you take the size down a little bit, compositionally, you're going to want to move it up just a little bit. There's a reason you have it over here instead of on top of the actor's face. That does not change when you change the font. What does change is the relative alignment of where it is to the actor's face. Because if it's too small, remember, it's like if you had a little green check mark, or if you had a little red stop sign just flickering down here, that may be small, but it's distracting. So you don't want to be distracting. So I would just shorten that, raise it up a little bit. Just give that a try, see how it feels. You make the decision. And let's go to Joe's one. And just on its face, this font somehow feels weird, but I think that's probably because it just looks long. So let's try shortening it on this one too. Composition is the most important thing. So first of all, placement, compositionally speaking, is technically seems correct. Bottom left, actor center right. It's just when you make that smaller, probably going to want to shift it up a little bit too. And you may not have to get closer or farther away from the actor in this case. What we're talking about is a longer name, so the kind of like the overall shape of this font or this title, it works a little bit differently than Robin's. Her name has less letters, so the shape is a tiny bit shorter. So I think all you need to do is shorten it, raise it, see if that works. Overall, you want to go smaller with this text though. Overall, you want smaller because the unique qualities of this text you want to stand out less, because there's no reason that the font of the text in this context, in this case where you're just giving the actors titles, there's no reason the font should stand out at all. I don't see a reason for it at all. So that's what the utility of making it smaller is actually doing. It's making it stand out as a unique font less while giving you the actor's name, but also putting it in a place where it's not distracting. So that's why the actor is the most important thing here. Their face, even though this is a clip where we're giving the title, it kind of works in tandem. You want the face, but then you want the title. The closer you get to the face, the smaller you have to get, or else you get distracting. You don't want the font to be this size right next to the face. You don't want the font to be any size on top of the face. You want it to work with the face. And so the closer you get to the face, that's part of why it has to get smaller. And then also, the further away you got from the face, you kind of have to be bigger too. But the reason you couldn't be this far away from the face in what is actually compositionally the technically correct space to be in is because the font's unique qualities are standing out too much in the bottom left with this size here. So you got to make it smaller, and if you're going to make it smaller, you need to put it closer to the face so that it doesn't just so people don't miss it. Actually, it may feel like, well, how are you going to miss a text even if it's just like a few points smaller than this right here? If it stayed exactly in the same space, how are you going to miss that? Well, it's just because what our eyes are drawn to in the very beginning of any frame is going to be the center, and it's going to be whatever is not symmetrical. This is not symmetrical. He's not in the dead center. He's to the center right. And your eyes are going to go directly to him first. And this is not a clip where you have a whole lot of time to read. And what's happening also is your eyes are not going to leave him while he's performing. So it's not like this is a static shot where he's just staring, where you look at him for a second and then the clip is still there, so you go down. No, your eyes are going to go to him. You're going to see him perform a little bit. You're going to try to figure out what he's saying or what he's feeling, and you may not even go down to see what his name is. So that's kind of why you have to get a little closer to the face if you're going to get smaller. That principle applies in almost any time you're doing a clip where you're introducing the actor's title, or even if it's like a location or whatever, like this is Africa or this is the Middle East or this is like those things. There's a reason you put the text where you put it, and this is kind of composition, and I can't explain it right now because it's like there's a whole science behind it, but it's like that's what you need to do. So in this case, we're getting either closer or farther away from the face, and we're either drawing more attention or less attention to how unique this font is. We need less attention on how unique this font is, and we need to stand out less and get a little closer to the face in this case. Okay, that's pretty much all I have to say about the titles. Let's go to color. Let's just look. This is going to be a quick comment because there's really not whole lot of difference, which is a good thing. You want consistency all the way through, because unless there's a reason for any colors to stand out, you don't want anything to really stand out. We already set up our blues, so that's why if you use this in a higher resolution, you can keep it because you led in with blue and yellow. See, we lead in with blue and yellow, we go black, then we go here, and we know that we're going to go into darker yellow and green. So that's why this half is good for leading into the next clip, and this half is good for coming in from the previous clip. One references the other. So this is actually color-wise okay. And then the color is consistent with these clips. They're basically from the film, so they're well done. So consistency is the main thing when looking at colors. One of the main things. You always want the clips to be in the same color space, to be not standing out from one another, to not be different. So color-wise, I think it looks good. We set up with a blue leading into our establishing, so it's okay to have a blue leading out to our main title. There might be a little issue with the water at the end. Let me see if that was water. So I think there's water here. Yeah, so cut this because there's no reason to show this water thing. It's in the movie, but there's no reason to have like a 0.3 seconds of it at the end. So I would just cut the water. Let me put that note in real quick. Okay, so other than that, let's go sound. This is the last category.
I was 15 when you went missing.
We all know I love the entrance.
I never meant to leave. I would have never have left if I had a choice.
No, cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that you were dead.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
This part you might want to try to fade in to be on the same level as what you've been on. So consistency wise, the audio, the music background, good, very consistent all the way up till this point.
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that
Let's call it we're on 8 with just a level of the music background at this point. We'll say we're on 8.
you were dead.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me.
And then we go to this part of the song, and we went up to 9.5 or 9 or something like that. So it's like you probably can bring that second part in on a 8 as well. If you want to be a little bit higher, you can bring it in on 8.5. But I think it's coming in just a little bit hot, so I would bring it in at a little lower of a level.
We're not gonna get another chance.
Also, I think the dialogue might have gotten louder there. Let's see.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
It seems a little bit louder, so maybe try bringing it down just a tad. And if that's the case, it's only a small bit of work because it's just that part.
We're gonna get another chance.
That part. It may actually be the same level. It just may feel like it's louder because the mic is obviously further away from him in the previous voiceovers, and then when he gets to that, you can kind of hear him speaking at a lower tone. Just the mic is much closer, so it's like more rich. So even though overall the volume might be the same, it feels louder because you can hear the lower tone of his voice at a louder level now. So with that being the case, you kind of have to do a little bit of trickery in that you're going to lower the volume. And even though the soundtrack of him speaking low is the same as the soundtrack of him speaking louder with the mic being up farther away, it just feels that it's louder. So you're going to have to make it lower, even though if you were to look at this on a graph, you would see that it's about the same. Because I'm looking at the levels on my recorder here, and it looks like it's about the same. So I would just make that lower because it just naturally feels louder because you're seeing more richness in his voice because the mic was closer. And again, the main thing that we're looking at with the audio overall there is just consistency.
No.
You don't want anything to stand out without a reason. So if there's no reason for any part of it to stand out, if it serves no utility, don't do it because it's just becoming a distraction.
Cut the shit. Why are you here tonight?
The night before you turned 15, I attempted an experiment.
There was a wide belief that you were dead.
When I was in the future, there was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
And honestly, God dang it, the firecrackers. Okay, and honestly, the choice of music here, I don't have an opinion on it. I kind of like it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of feel like maybe there's I would have probably chose something slower, more kind of sci-fi. But then I've seen sci-fi movies that have this kind of music on the background, either in the teaser, the trailer, or the actual movie, and it kind of becomes sci-fi just by being in it and it not really being inconsistent with the rest of it. So it's like, it's really just a point of taste. So I don't really have anything substantially to say about the choice. I just like that it's consistent. Like, it shouldn't be like a lower tone at the beginning, mixing in with the audio of something else, and then you get the music from another part like it was in 4.5. In 4.5, it was not on this level. It was the quality wasn't as good. It was also obvious that you were taking the music was coming from two different sources, and it wasn't fading as well. So here it's much more consistent. It's cleaner. I'll take something that's just not what I expected and clean versus something that seems like it might be in the perfect genre space, but which is not clean. Here it's clean. So the choice of music, fine. Probably can fix the levels on the end here. So I would just say go to the end, make sure that the level of his voice is coming in a little bit lower.
Science that I shouldn't have been in.
Whoops. Coming in a little lower.
We're not gonna get another chance.
Because it feels louder, even though on the graph I'm almost certain that it's about the same as any of the peaks before. It does feel louder though.
There was an accident, which is why I need you to believe me. We're not gonna get another chance.
And it's almost offensive to say to like lower Joseph O'Connell at any point, because he's always given a good performance. You don't turn him down, you turn him up. That's just not what you do. So it's hard to turn him down, but we're trying to make a teaser here. Okay, so overall that's my thoughts on that. Now it's going to be hard for me to recall everything that I just said in this video for 4.6 because I realize I need to write down some of the stuff that I said, so I'm gonna have to rewatch this video. But overall, those are my thoughts on 4.6. Patrick, let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your patience, and sorry it took a long time to get this actually fully done. I kept feeling deja vu as I was doing this, and it's because I realized there were a bunch of times where I was doing this and I fell asleep and I was redoing the exact same video or redoing the exact same notes. And it's like, how many times did I do this? And I never actually finished it and posted it. So thank you for being patient, Patrick. Please continue your work. Your work is noticeably better. If you compare these last two, these 3.6 and 4.6 to where we started with the other things in the folder, skills have definitely improved. Like, the technique is way better. And I actually have learned a couple things just by reviewing some of this stuff. So good work there. If anyone else has any questions, Alejandro, where you at, man? I thought we were going to get you on the other thing that we're doing. Let me see. And anyone who has not joined in the Rosalio sync and you want to help with some of the editing that's going on, you can contact me, hit me up on Discord. Here's how you do it. When you're in your Discord, which you can go on your phone or on the computer, in the browser, or the desktop app, you can basically get to it anywhere. Make sure you're on the TFN server, and you can go click on your icon up here and then like see your direct messages to people and message me, or just go here if I'm not friends with you on there. You don't need to be my friend or anything. Just it does nothing really, so just message me directly. You should see me on the producers team. Am I streaming? Yeah, I'm streaming, but it has the wrong title, so I'm going to change that. You should see me and just, click me and like message me directly. Like, see how you can do this? You can click something and message it directly. Do that. Message Patrick. All right, and that's all I got to say. So, thanks again. Everyone stay safe out there. We'll let you know more about projects and shooting when we know more. Right now, it's mostly editing and planning for future stuff. So there's like spikes with COVID-19 cases, so we're probably still not going to be out in the street shooting anything big just yet. Maybe have something really small coming up soon. So get on Discord. Those of you asking about the acting classes for Zoom, I'm considering trying a class on Zoom, or not Zoom, but video. Here's the thing: we use Discord. It already provides the ability to do, video chat and stuff, and it like does up to 50 people. I know we had an issue or two on the last time that we did it with the acting and producing teams, but they actually added some functionality which makes it easier. So I want to have everyone give that a try. And there are people who have just not tried the Discord at all asking about Zoom. So the thing is, we're not going to just do Zoom when we've been setting up and establishing Discord as our main back end way to communicate and do our work. So you guys need to make sure that you're trying Discord first, and then if you have suggestions on platforms and things to use, that's when we're going to listen. Otherwise, I can't take advice from people who don't know literally what's going on right now. So make sure you get on Discord first, try it out. Let us know if you have any suggestions about Discord from using it and actually knowing it and having some experience. And then if we need to go beyond what we're doing, we'll always do what we've always done, which is look for ways to improve. We didn't start off with Discord. We were on other channels. We've tried Facebook, we've tried Messenger, we've been other places. We've tried GroupMe. We will try everything that we think that will help the community. But you've got to have a certain level of trust in that, well, we've considered this already, or anything that seems like an easy consideration, we probably have already considered it. So let's start from a place of, let's try what's recommended first, and if that does not work, or if you have problems with the recommended thing, then we can look to see if there's other stuff we can do. But other than that, thanks guys for all the messages. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm doing good. I want to get back into the streets and start shooting things and filming as well. I want everyone to stay sharp. I'm considering the video acting class potential. I'm probably not going to do it, but I'm considering doing a short video class with all our actors. If we do it, it's going to be Discord. Get on Discord, folks. A lot of you have it. Zoom seems like a good platform, but if it does exactly the same thing as Discord, we're not going to switch from something that we're using right now or have been using and are trying to promote to try something completely different when it does the exact same thing. So thanks, everyone. If you have any questions, message me on Discord, please. If you don't have Discord and you're trying to get it and you need help, message me on Facebook. I check that every once in a while. Or send a message to TFN on email. That's Tampa Film Networks with an S at gmail.com. Or go to Facebook and message the page directly. Again, if you go on Facebook, message the page directly, or you can actually message on the website too. Like, send this form, first name, last name, email, question. It goes directly to the email, or look, there's email right there. There's a number, but nobody ever answers it, so don't expect a immediate response. Especially if you do call and leave a message and don't leave your name and don't leave your email address or any way to get back to you other than the number, probably won't call you. but send an email. That has a high chance of getting a response. Carol, I have your email. I'm going to respond to you as soon as I can. I'm sorry about that. And everyone else, again, be safe out there. Have a great weekend. If you have any questions, let me know. And I think that's it. I'm out.